Good morning. Today I want to talk to you about how to win at losing. Recently, after graduating from school, I've been asking myself a lot about what it is I want to do. What do I desire to do? And if you would have asked me some years ago, I probably would have told you, I'm just going to live life and kind of just see what comes. There was this sense inside of me where I didn't want to have an idea in my head about exactly what my future was going to look like because in what I felt was my commitment to God, I also felt like it was a commitment to discovery. I felt like I didn't know myself, but I trusted that God knew me and that if I surrendered, I would discover who I was. That somewhere in the mind of God, there was a whole concept or a whole idea or a whole reality of who I was. And if I would stop telling myself who I was, I would be able to discover who I was. And so in that effort, I've held many different jobs, all of which had career potential, but none of which I think grabbed the essence of who I was. And it wasn't until I went to seminary and started to look into being a minister that I really kind of came into my own, if you will. When I look back now, I see all the jobs and the different things that I had before as preparation for the ministry. And even no matter what job I ever had, I always found myself playing this minister type role. But at the same time, my relationship with my faith was not such that I knew how to convey it to other people. It was more of a personal relationship with God. And I could have a personal relationship and be happy as I don't know what, but if I tried to express it or convey it to other people, I struggled because my own way of receiving the word or receiving the spirit or however you want to call it just didn't seem to vibe really well with some of the ways that I was told. So at any rate, I started having a little bit of struggle until I was able to say, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and do this. And then through seminary, I was able to tap into a lot of places I left behind, places I thought I would never see again inside of myself when I started to listen to this calling. So, at any rate, now this brings me to the point I've graduated. I obviously have to work. So there's things that I have to consider. But there's also things that I don't really know how to articulate. So what I'm going to do is for myself and hopefully for the edification of those who might watch this, I'm starting to look back at why I never chose the path to being a minister sooner and how some other choices that I made kind of played into my own resistance perhaps to this walk. So I called the piece How to Win at Losing. And I started realizing recently, as you'll see, a couple of days ago, I came in second place in a local poetry contest. And the only reason I really entered the contest was more as an exercise because I knew that there's this part inside of myself that I don't want to say I feel bad for winning because that's not an accurate statement. However, there's this part of me whenever I've entered a contest or anything that required any sense of competition where rather than have to deal with some of the backlash of winning, I would hope to lose or to come in second place or something. And I'm not going to say this is a healthy approach to expressing oneself. So, but it is the approach I took because when I was a kid, I was so lucky. I was just lucky. Like, even though we didn't have much, whenever I needed something, always showed up. If I ever entered a contest, I just won. I mean, it was like little, not necessarily talent type contest, but like I'd get a raffle ticket and say, let me stick it in here, and I'd win. I'd win little things. And if I like needed to take a test and I didn't study, I'd just like look at the book a little bit and I'd pass, and just different stuff like that. And I didn't really think anything much of it. It was just kind of like it just happened. And I really didn't start paying attention to it until I started getting people telling me that they didn't like me or I made them sick. And I would say, why? And they would say, well, it's not fair. You win a lot, and other people should win too. And I was like, other people can win. And I didn't really understand the mentality, but all I know is that people would tell me, like, it's not fair. You shouldn't even enter. Or sometimes family or friends would say, man, you shouldn't even enter because that's not fair if you enter. And I would say, why? And they would say, well, if you enter, you're probably going to win, and other people won't get a chance at winning. So everybody deserves a chance at winning, so you should not participate. And even teachers, if I was writing something, they would say, oh, give somebody else a chance. And so not really understanding that concept and not really having any guidance, I started being like, wow. At first I kept entering anyway, and then one day someone really close to me told me, said that I made them sick. And I said, why? And he said, because you don't try that hard and you still win. Or you don't study as much and you still make good grades. And even though I didn't think that that was like I was doing something wrong, it started to bother me whenever I would enter something. I would start feeling myself being like, oh man, I hope I don't win. Previously, I didn't care if I won or didn't win. I wouldn't even be thinking about it. It would just be like, why not get a raffle ticket? Why not write a little piece? Why not, do this little thing? And I would do it. And then afterwards, the other people would say, oh, you think you're better than us, blah, 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 blah. And so it started to be not worth the experience of having those kinds of feedback that I just chose to either not participate, or if I still participated, I would silently be hoping that I would lose. And then eventually, I, for some reason or the other, started convincing myself, and I said, well, someone's got to lose. It might as well be me. And so I started to have this like winning attitude about losing. I don't know why, maybe some psychological thing, but that's what I did. And the best way to illustrate it is I was never very good at basketball because people didn't really want me to play because I was short. Am short. And but if somebody asked me, I'd try. And one day, some people wanted to play. They were playing a game of 21, 2-on-2. It was only 3 people. And one guy said, "Oh man, can you play with me?" I said, "Well, I'm not very skilled, but I don't have a problem trying." And so we started playing. He's like, "Oh, I bet you could do something." Got out there, and I proceeded to show him how little I could do. And we're playing, And then we're losing bad. And the only reason the game would have been automatically over by our lack of points had we not made a couple points. So we were going to play all the way to 21. And I'm trying my best, I'm passing, missing, dribbling on my foot, shooting. And he's like, don't even shoot. Just give me the ball. Don't even try. But I just kept on going. And then, like, the game was like almost to 21, and the other team was about to win. And I'm taking the shot, and I'm like, whoo, and the ball goes in, swish, and I'm like, yes, woo, woo. I'm going all crazy. I'm excited, man. And the dude's looking at me like, I hate you. he's like, you made like 1 3-pointer. We're dying here. After I made the shot, the other team they just rebounded, made the basket. It was over. And but I was just like, I was feeling great, man. I said, man, did you see that shot? And he said, what are you talking about, man? He was looking at the context, and in the context of the whole game, from his point of view, I didn't do jack. I made 1 3-pointer the whole game. So from his point of view, he was like, you really suck. And from my point of view, I was like, I made a nice shot, and I can't believe I was able to execute such a nice shot and only playing the game for such a short amount of time. So in my point of view, I was just awesome at losing. I was like, look, man, just because I lose, I don't have to feel bad. He was walking like, I was like, look, I'm not going to feel bad. I put in some effort. I put in some energy. People reap what they sow. I should reap some energy and some reward from my playing, even if I didn't win. And so in that particular case, I wanted losing. And but I found that a lot of areas in life, I kind of made those kinds of ways of looking at things where even when I lose, I win. And that's been great for me. but annoying to other people. But now I'm crossing into this new phase where this ministry, it's important to me. I think that a lot of the other jobs and the things I held, while they were important and they served a function, they weren't capturing the essence of who I am or how I might express myself. But I feel like this does. And because this does, it's something that I can't just step away from and say, oh, well, if I don't do it, I can look at it a different way. So in that light, while I have been winning at losing, I think from now on, I'm not going to do that anymore. So if you, somewhere out there, have not allowed yourself to live to your full potential because other people might feel bad or you're trying to give somebody else a chance, stop. They have a chance. We all have a chance. Just do what it is that you feel called to do and put everything that you have into it. Forget about the story of why you didn't do it sooner. Forget about the story of how you're too old or not this enough or not that enough. Because we all are enough to be who we are. We just have to be us. Do us. It doesn't matter what other people think. I've learned that along the way. It doesn't even matter what you think. We were created by the source of all creation. Within you, within me, within all of us is the fullness of that creator. Because the God that I believe in doesn't do any half measures. God puts everything into everything. And so it's all in you. It's all in me. We can do this. So I'm going to do this. I don't know exactly what this is, but I am going to put everything that I am into everything that I do. And I'm going to see what happens. And I hope that somewhere along the way, I run into you or other people like you who are doing the same thing. Thank you for your time. Thank you for letting me vent. And I love you for some reason. It's just a part of who I am. And that's it. Thank you.